Hi there, and welcome to the final part of our strategy and type for the different energy types. We've looked so far at manifesting energy, projector energy, and the generator energy, and we're finally on to the reflectors. Now, the reason why I wanted to really leave the reflectors until the end is because they are a very small percentage, but that's not the main reason. They only account for 1% of the population. But the main reason why I left them to the end is because they have a very different type of energy to the rest of the other types. And what I mean by that is that the sun governs all of the other types. So 99% of the population are governed by the sun, and that is where our incarnation cross comes from. So for the projectors, the manifestors, and the generators, we take the sun energies in the personality and also in the design of our body graph. And that's what creates our part of our incarnation. So we're governed by the sun, we are solar beings, but for the reflectors, they're actually governed by the moon. And what that means for them is that they have a very slow process because they have to experience everything that the moon offers them over a 28-day period. So this forms part of their strategy. And so because the energy of the reflector is so that every single one of the 9 centers is completely open. So when you look at the chart, you will see hanging gates, which are single gates with no channel, and they actually have every single one of the 9 centers as open or white when you look at it on the chart. And what that allows the reflector to do is to take in all of the energies that are around them and to sample them. So when a reflector is working to their strategy, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail as we go along, but when they are working to their strategy, then they have the ability to feel the environment that's around them, to feel an individual's energy as well as the collective, the immediate community that's around them, and to really experience where that person is at in their journey. Now, when they're not working to their strategy of slowing their process down and allowing themselves to experience all of the energies that are offered by the moon in that 28-day cycle. So what I mean by that is they have to go through the moon transitions through each of the 64 gates over a period of 28 days. So the reflector goes through a process of experiencing those 64 gates over that period of time. And then by the end of the 28-day period, that is the point that they will fully understand the whole situation that they're making a decision about. And they will be armed with all of the energies because they've sampled all of the 64 gates over that 28-day period. And that will give them an idea of, is this stable? Is this the right decision that I'm making? Now, sometimes it can be a really big decision. And so it's really important that, yes, 28 days is your cycle, but that's the minimum cycle. There's nothing wrong with going into the next 28 days and the next 28 days. But it's just to be aware that your energy really needs to experience the full cycle of the moon over that 28-day period for you to be able to make a decision. So when I talk about strategy, your strategy is to wait out 28 days to really experience what is going on in your environment and what is going on with the other person that you're making, the decision about. So for the reflectors, it's really, really important that you have a solid network of people around you. You are extremely aware of the potential of the population on this planet. You are aware of what humanity is capable of doing. And sometimes the reflector can feel disappointed. They can see the potential, but not always the conditioning that's holding people back from achieving their full potential. So they can quite often fall in love with somebody's potential, and then they become disappointed when the reality of that person is revealed. And that's not to say that the other person has done anything wrong. They're at the stage that they're at. It's just that often the reflector can potentialize a situation, potentialize a relationship, potentialize a connection with somebody. And so it's really important to be really realistic in your process. So having people around you that you can use as a sounding board, because you don't necessarily need advice, but your process is that you need to talk things through and hear yourself in a loop talking about certain situations and hearing that coming back to you so that you can make an informed decision. So you don't necessarily need any advice. You just need somebody who's around you that you can kind of emotionally dump onto, and for them to be solid enough within themselves to not have to feel as though they have to fix your situation or guide you in any way. You're more than capable of doing that for yourself. On the flip side of the energy, the reflector energy, when you are not working to your strategy, you may feel a real need to fix people and fix situations. Because, like I say, you see this deep potential in people. You can see where they're at right now, and you can see where they need to get to. Now, when you're not ignoring where they're at, and you are actually seeing where somebody is in their process, it's really important that you just acknowledge that and accept that for what it is, and to step back. And if somebody needs some guidance, then that's absolutely fine. But don't feel the need that you have to jump in and fix, because by you fixing somebody, you're bringing your own motives to the process and you're not allowing somebody else to find their own resolve. Everybody on this planet has exactly what they need to get from where they are now to where they need to be. And it's really important as a reflector that you remember that, because often when you start to jump in and fix situations, you might find that you get a bit of a backlash. And again, that disappointment comes in for you because you are just wanting to help. But the backlash can be quite disappointing when somebody doesn't want your advice. So be aware that you need the sounding board. You don't need any advice, and you also don't need to be fixing anybody. It's really important that you have consistent and familiar people in your life as the sounding boards, because when you are talking your way through a process, when you're talking your way through a decision that you need to make, it's really important that you haven't got different energies that are coming backwards and forwards. So find yourself a few very good friends that you can trust, that you trust that their motivation is to purely help you and that they're not bringing their own agenda to the table, and that they can be there and that they can be consistent for you. Because otherwise there can be a sense of merging with the reflector types. You know, if they don't get enough time on their own and can pull away from the other auras, then they can find themselves morphing into other people's energies, and they can take that on board as their own. And often that can leave them feeling really quite codependent in a situation. So a couple of tips for the reflector to help them with this process of slowing down their process and taking the 28 days is really to make sure that you get plenty of time on your own. Wherever you possibly can, take those opportunities to pull back and be in your own space. Take yourself away from the auras of other people as much as you possibly can. Wherever you possibly can, sleep on your own. And also, same with the manifestors and the projectors, give yourself that time on an evening just to chill out for half an hour before you actually go to sleep. So give yourself a book to read, or just sit and listen to some music, or just contemplate your day. Go over your day and see how that's worked out for you. Are you feeling any pressure from anywhere to move quickly? You know, are you feeling any pressure to prove yourself, to come up with ideas, to come to a decision? So really check in with yourself, make sure that you are following your strategy of 28 days, because that's really important for you, to make sure that it's your own decision and that there's no pressure from anybody else. And of course, that can be really difficult in a world as fast paced as ours. I mean, if you look at any kind of advertising that comes up, it's all quick deals. You know, you've got to make a decision right now, otherwise you're going to lose this deal. So really get into the sense of knowing that the universe will provide you with what you need when you need it. So if something is asking you to make a split decision, it's not for you. You need that 28 days to come to a full decision making, go through your full decision making process. The other thing that I would say as well about reflectors is you can always tell the health of the immediate family that the reflector lives in, or the immediate community with their friends. If your reflector is really struggling with their health and their well-being, then it's important to take a look around you and look at the people that are around you, because it may not just be the reflector's energy, it may be other people around them that are draining that energy from the reflector. So it may be that the generators are not looking within themselves that are around the reflector. It may be that the projectors are not guiding in the way that they should be. It may be that the manifestors are not initiating in the way that they should be. So it's really important that when you're working with reflector energy, that you look at the people that are around the reflector as well, because they are so open. And when their environment is correct and the people around them are correct and they're in the right place at the right time, then that reflector will be healthy, they will be thriving, and they will be really powerful in the sense that they can see people's potential, they can pinpoint a person and take them in the right direction for where they need to be going. Kind of like the shaman of the Native American tribes. You know, the shaman would be able to see the potential in a young child, and they wouldn't they wouldn't feel the need to fix, they wouldn't feel the need to pressure or push that child. But what they would do is they would make sure that that child was mentored by the right person within the tribe. And so the reflector is kind of like, I see them kind of like a shaman in the tribe, you know, the one who is looking around them and looking at the potential of the other people around them. Yes, it is very important that they understand their own energy, but once they get beyond that and they've mastered their own energy, then their real purpose is to look at who is about to awaken and get them on the right tracks. The flip side, when you're not working to your strategy as a reflector, is the moment that somebody starts to awaken and lifts their head above the parapet, then the reflector can shoot that off. So it's be really, really careful that you're, as a reflector, you're not getting into criticism, snapping at people, you know, holding people back from their potential. Don't hold them to where they're at right now. Everybody has the potential to grow. So don't impose that fixed idea onto somebody that you're this and you can't do any different to this. Everybody has the potential of growth. It's just knowing that they have their own time, they have their own place, and it's important to allow them to come into that. The other thing that I would say as well is, because as with any open heart energy, the geomagnetic element to the G center, our magnetic monopole, will actually guide you to where the right communities are. And that's not necessarily to do with an actual place, it's to do with the people that are in the place. So when you are working to your strategy and you're really getting to sample your own energy, you're in your own space as much as you possibly can to understand what is your energy and what is somebody else's, then you'll really be guided to the right people and to the right place. So that's the blessing of the reflector energy, that you will find your tribe. As with any of the other energies, you will always find your tribe when you're working closely with your strategy. So I hope that has given you a little bit of information about the reflector energy. If you have any questions, please leave some comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And I hope that has been of some use for you today.